He went to the cafe every morning at precisely 10. It was a small place on the corner, with steamed-up windows in winter and tables that wobbled slightly if you leaned too hard. He liked that imperfections made things feel real alive. He ordered the same thing every day, a flat white, no sugar, and took the same seat by the window. And every morning she served him. She couldn't have been more than 25. Her hair caught the light when she moved, tied loosely at the back of her head, a few strands always escaping. She smiled when she took his order, not at him, but to him, the practiced, gentle smile of someone who's kind by nature and polite by profession. "Good morning," she would say. "Good morning," he would reply carefully. That was all, it was always all. Yet when she placed the cup down in front of him, their fingers sometimes came close, never touching, and that was enough to make his heart ache in a way he had not felt in decades. He knew, of course, he was 73 years old. He had lived a full life. He had been married, loved deeply, lost deeply. This feeling, this quiet, impossible longing, had no place in the world anymore. And still, it came. At home, the silence waited for him. He stood in front of the bathroom mirror longer than he meant to. The man staring back at him felt like a stranger. Some days, thin white hair, lines etched deep around the eyes, skin that told stories of time rather than promise. "If only," he whispered. He flexed his fingers. His hands were weathered now, spotted, veined, trembling slightly. These were not the hands of the man he once was. These were not the hands that had built ideas, theories, futures. He turned away from the mirror and sat at his computer. The internet filled the room with quiet noise, videos playing silently, headlines scrolling past. He drifted without purpose until one title stopped him cold: "Why we shouldn't accept digging as inevitable." He clicked. The man in the video spoke confidently, passionately, about cellular decay, telomeres, biological clocks that could be slowed, even reversed. Most of it was speculation, poorly sourced optimism. But not all of it. He leaned forward, eyes narrowing. He paused the video, rewound, took notes: cellular regeneration, memory retention, neuroelasticity, controlled reversal, not immortality. "Is it possible?" he asked the empty room. His gaze fell again on his hands. He had once asked the same question for someone else. He rose slowly and walked down the narrow hallway to the back of the house. The door was half hidden behind coats and forgotten boxes. Cobwebs clung to the frame like the past itself was trying to keep him out. The laboratory. He hadn't opened it since his wife died. Inside was the smell of dust and old chemicals. Beakers sat where he'd left them. Notes yellowed with age were still pinned to the corkboard. This room had once been full of hope and later of desperation. He had tried to save her. Failed. The memory pressed heavy against his chest, but something else pushed back, something quieter, more dangerous: hope. He wiped the cobwebs from the door and stepped inside. "I'm sorry," he said softly. To the room, to his wife, to the years he had wasted believing his best days were behind him. That night the lights stayed on late. Equations were rewritten, old failures re-examined. What he had lacked before was not intelligence. It was time. Now, time was the very thing he meant to challenge. Days passed, then weeks. He still went to the cafe every morning. She still smiled. One morning she paused a moment longer than usual. "Are you working on something exciting?" she asked, nodding toward the notebook beside his cup. He hesitated, then smiled back. "Yes," he said, "I think I am." She smiled wider, unaware of the future quietly taking shape in a small laboratory at the back of a lonely house, a future born not of vanity, but of love lost and a man who refused to believe that the heart should age before the soul. And for the first time in years, when he looked in the mirror, he didn't wish to be young again. He wished only to be possible.
First change. The first change he did not begin with himself. That he told himself was wisdom, not fear. The laboratory came alive slowly, like a memory returning after years of neglect. He cleaned every surface, recalibrated instruments that no longer existed in modern catalogs, and rebuilt others from scavenged parts ordered quietly online. He worked with a patience that only age could teach: no urgency, no recklessness. At night, when the house was silent, he reviewed his old notebooks. The handwriting changed as the years went on, bold and certain in the early pages, frantic near the end. He avoided those final entries. He knew them by heart. Instead, he focused on a single idea he had once abandoned, directed cellular recall, not forcing cells to divide endlessly, but reminding them how they once were. Memory, he whispered to the microscope. That's all it is. He tested the compound on Culture's first skin cells harvested from his own arm. A small sting, a thin line of blood. Under the lens he watched for days. The change was subtle at first, then undeniable. Cells, smooth damage, retreated patterns once lost reappeared, as if the body itself were remembering youth. His hand shook, not with age this time, but awe. He did not sleep that night. Over the next week, the ache in his joints lessened. He told himself it was coincidence. Placebo, he was a scientist, not a dreamer. But the mirror began to argue with him. The skin at his temples tightened. The deep lines at the corners of his eyes softened. His hair, impossibly, darkened in thin streaks like ink bleeding back into paper. He stopped the treatment immediately. Fear arrived at last. This wasn't the plan, he said aloud. Not yet. At the cafe, she noticed. You look different today, she said, handing him his cup. He laughed too quickly, new lightning. She tilted her head, studying him in a way that made his pulse quicken, not curiosity, not politeness. Recognition. That night, guilt crept in where excitement had been. He dreamed of his wife, not as she was at the end, but as she had been at 30, laughing in the kitchen, hair loose around her shoulders. You always did hate limits, she said. He woke with tears on his face. He adjusted the dosage, reduced exposure, logged everything meticulously. This was no longer an experiment. It was a responsibility. But the world outside his house was changing too. At the cafe, he overheard whispers. A man at the next table spoke of a neighbor who looked 10 years younger in a month. A headline flickered briefly on a screen before vanishing. Unverified reports of age regression, claims dismissed. He turned the screen off, heart pounding. Someone else was close, or watching. That evening, as he locked the lab door, he noticed something new. A light, not inside his house, across the street. A car sat idling, engine off, headlights dark, watching. For the first time since his wife died, he felt truly afraid, not of loss, but of being found. He returned to the lab and stared at the vial resting on the steel table. Clear, ordinary, world-altering. I only wanted more time, he said softly. Outside, the car remained. And somewhere between hope and regret, he realized the most dangerous thing he had created was not the compound. It was himself.
Chapter 3. What she sees, what they want. She noticed before she meant to. At first it was only a feeling, the sense that something familiar was slowly becoming unfamiliar. The man who came in every morning had always seemed gentle, reserved, almost faded into the background of the cafe like an old photograph, safe, predictable. But now he stood a little straighter, his eyes were brighter, more focused, as if he were listening to a song only he could hear. His hands no longer trembled when he lifted his cup, and his face, it unsettled her. Not because it was handsome, though it was changing in that direction, but because it no longer matched the story her eyes expected to see. You've been walking more, she said one morning. Unsure why she was saying it at all, he smiled, a real smile. I suppose I have. She lingered after giving him his coffee. She didn't do that with the others. She told herself it was curiosity, nothing more. Across the street, the car returned. Different days, different models, always the same behavior. Arriving just before he left for the cafe, gone by the time he returned home. Once, he caught a glimpse of someone inside. A woman, mid-40s, hair pulled tight, eyes sharp with purpose. She was not there to admire him. He altered his route home, walked through side streets, paused to study reflections in windows. Still the feeling followed, a presence, patient and methodical. That night, his old instinct stirred. He reactivated equipment he hadn't used in decades, signal analyzers, passive scanners, and there it was, a faint but unmistakable transmission pulsing from somewhere nearby. He laughed bitterly, of course. They had always been watching for breakthroughs like his. He had once consulted for them, long before he understood what national interest truly meant. The next morning, she broke routine. "Are you in a hurry today?" she asked him quietly. He hesitated no. She glanced toward her manager, then lowered her voice. "I get off early if you wanted to. Talk." His heart hammered, not with desire, but terror. "Yes," he said anyway. "I'd like that." They sat on a bench in the park, autumn leaves gathering around their feet. She studied him openly now, no longer hiding her curiosity. "You remind me of someone I used to know," she said, "but the memory keeps changing." He looked at her hands, young, unmarked by time, and felt the full weight of what he had done. "I'm not who I appear to be," he said carefully. She laughed. "That's true of everyone." But later, when a black car rolled slowly past the park, she stiffened. "Do you know them?" "No," he lied, too quickly. That night the knock came, not loud, not threatening, just firm, inevitable. He opened the door to find the woman from the car standing calmly on his doorstep, credentials already in her hand. "We've been looking for you," she said. "You disappeared. I retired. You created something," she corrected, "something the world can't afford for you to keep to yourself." She glanced past him toward the hallway that led to the lab. "You can help millions," she continued, "or you can help yourself. We'd prefer the first." He thought of his wife, a failure, of the cafe, of the young woman who had seen him not as a miracle, but as a man. "I won't give it to you," he said. Her smile didn't fade. "You already have." She turned and walked away, leaving him alone in the doorway, knowing that time once spent never returns to its original shape. And tomorrow morning, when he went for coffee, he would have to decide whether love was worth being seen. Chapter 4. The Shape of Escape. He did not sleep. By dawn, the decision had already been made, not in his mind, but in his chest. Some choices do not arrive as thoughts, they arrive as certainty. He packed lightly a single bag, the notebook, 2 vials sealed inside lead-lined foam. He paused at the door of the laboratory, touching the frame as if it were a grave marker. "I tried," he whispered, to his wife, to the man he had been at the cafe. She sensed it immediately. "You're leaving," she said, handing him his cup. "Yes." She didn't ask where or why, she only studied his face, searching for the truth beneath the words. "Do you want me to come?" The world narrowed to that question. "I don't know if it's safe." She smiled, not politely this time, bravely. "I never said I needed safe." They left separately, that mattered. He took the long route through the market. She waited 10 minutes, then followed the river at the station. He watched the arrivals board flicker, destinations scrolling past like alternate lives. He chose one at random. The train lurched forward just as the platform erupted in movement, black coats, earpieces, too late. She slid into the seat beside him, breathless and laughing softly, as if they were doing something wonderfully foolish. "Is this real?" she asked. "Yes," he said, "and I'm sorry." As the countryside blurred past the window, he told her everything, not all at once. Gently, the past, the lab, the reason his reflection no longer matched his years. She listened without interruption. When he finished, she took his hand. "You didn't do this to be young," she said. "You did it because you loved someone." He closed his eyes. They changed trains twice. Then again, cash, only no names, no devices, in a coastal town where the wind carried salt and anonymity in equal measure. They stopped. The house was small, temporary, perfect. Days passed. Then weeks. The
change accelerated. His body continued to remember, not just strength, but hunger, desire, a future that had once closed itself to him. But something else remembered too. The dreams came first, disjointed, flickering. He would wake unsure of which decade he was in. Names slipped, memories overlapped, his wife's laughter echoing through her voice, her face momentarily becoming someone else's. She noticed. "You're fading," she said one night, fear breaking through her calm. "No," he said, "I'm blending." The compound had never been tested on a living system with a lifetime of memory. He had not reversed time. He had loosened it. One morning, he did not recognize the man in the mirror, not because he was old or young, but because he was becoming many versions of himself at once. He sat at the table and placed the final vial between them. "This can stop it," he said, "lock me where I am. And if it doesn't," he met her eyes, "then I don't know who I'll be tomorrow." She slid the vial back toward him. "I didn't come with you for who you were," she said softly. "I came because you chose to be brave." Outside, a car slowed on the road. This time it did not stop. The world had lost their trail. For now, he held the vial in his hand, feeling time pulse inside it. A fragile, terrible thing. And for the first time, he understood the truth he had once missed. Youth was never the gift. Choice was. Chapter 5. What Remains. He did not take the vial. Not that night, not the next morning. He watched the sea instead, how it repeated itself endlessly and yet was never the same wave twice. The wind was cold. Honest, it did not pretend to preserve anything. She slept while he sat at the small table, memories drifting in and out of him like tides. His wife's voice returned sometimes, gentle and amused. His younger self argued with him in flashes, ambition without wisdom, certainty without cost. And then there was now. She woke to find him smiling faintly. "You've decided," she said. "Yes." He placed the vial on the table and pushed it away from them both. "I spent my life trying to stop endings," he said. "I thought love meant defying time. I was wrong." She reached for his hand, changing still, warm and alive. "What does love mean then?" "Being present," he said, "even when it hurts, especially then." The changes slowed after that, not because the compound ceased to work, but because he stopped fighting it. His body found a balance, not young, not old, but settled. His hair remained streaked with silver. His face held lines again, though softer now. A man marked by years, not erased by them. His memory stabilized. The dreams faded. They stayed in the coastal town. She worked in a small cafe by the harbor, different from the one where they met, but familiar in all the ways that mattered. He helped where he could fix things. Rad wrote notes he never intended to publish. They walked every evening. People sometimes stared, sometimes they didn't. The world is generous like that. It allows mystery if you do not demand explanation. One afternoon, she found him in the spare room, opening the old notebook for the last time. "You're done," she said. "Yes." He carried the remaining vials to the cliffs. The sea accepted them without ceremony. That night he slept deeply. Years passed, fewer than he once hoped for, more than he deserved. When the end came, it was quiet. She held his hand as his breathing slowed. His eyes were clear, present. "I never wanted to be young again," he whispered. "I just didn't want love to end." She kissed his forehead, tears falling freely now. "It doesn't," she said. He smiled. The same gentle smile he had worn in the cafe all those mornings ago, and then he was still. She stayed in the town after that. Sometimes, when an older man came into the cafe and looked at her the way he once had, carefully, respectfully, with wonder held tightly in check, she smiled kindly, because she understood now. Not every love is meant to last forever. Some are meant to remind us that time is not the measure of a life. Presence is.